So I believe we can start. Hello everyone once again. My name is Dmitry and I'll be your host for today for this webinar. So today we'll talk about procedural textures made by Substance Designer and how to use those and how to create those textures. And in the end of the webinar, you'll be able to download the actual Sbsr file to use for your projects, right? And before we start, we just get the news just basically last week that Adobe start changing names for all Substance products. You can take a look yourself and you can follow us and we'll announce all those changements as well. And we'll let you know what's happening, what's been changed and so on. Now for this webinar, what you will need to download the actual plugin for your desired software. I'll be using 3ds Max, and over here the address, I will copy this one and paste it to our chat, just like so you can download this script, the actual scripts for your software, install it, and after that you can work with the Substance materials, even if you don't have your Substance Designer. Now, over here, you see the image with the wall, some gold-looking cracks over here, right? The black wall with the cracks, and this wall was created using Substance Designer, right? So here it is. This is the actual setup for this texture, right? You can see how it looks like in preview, right? And now I want to take a quick overview for this material, how it was built, how it was created, right? Then I will show you how to expose parameters from Substance Designer to your Sbsr file that you can use in, for example, in 3ds Studio Max and have those parameters adjusted straight away in 3ds Studio Max, right? Or your desired software. So for the beginning over here, you can see we have the main pattern over here. For those who's not familiar with the Substance Designer, first of all, it's a software just to create textures, parametrical textures, right? And the thing is that from first look, this software could look like a quite spooky one because of amount of buttons, right? But thing is that in reality, this software is not so difficult as it looks like. So over here, just like I said, it's a main pattern over here, and I was using different noise patterns from this list over here, right? Just literally random noises, and with some slight adjustments, like so, right? And if I double click it, you can see how it looks like, right? So basically everything was connected over here through the slow blur grayscale node, right? Over here was done the same thing, right? Have some levels over here for this cloud noise, just to make it slightly darker. And over here, I had a different noise with some like a dent noise, right? Slightly blurred over here, and then just everything was connected to the slow blur. And added some levels over here, and eventually everything was connected to the blend node over here. Now about the blend node. If you're not familiar with the Substance Designer, the blend node is the most used node in Substance Designer because basically what it does, it blends different textures, right? And if you take a closer look at the blend node over here, right, I'll just double click it, and on the right side we have some parameters, and it's very interesting that blending mode parameters over here, they're just literally the same as they are in the Photoshop, right? And of course we have same same opacity slider over here as well, so we can combine, right? Just literally slide it on the side, and straight away I'm getting slightly different looking texture, right? So this pattern over here is used as a main wall pattern, right? Next one is the actual diffuse channel over here, right? Everything what was done here was just created to create a diffuse channel. But before going with the diffuse channel, we have some cracks over here as well, right? So cracks was made using cell node, right? Just double click it and you can see the actual image, how it looks like. It's very tiny, right? But if I start changing the actual parameters over here, you will see that my texture start changing straight away, right? Means that our texture over here is parametrical, right? Just a couple of sliders here and it start changing straight away. Now, what was done over here? Basically, the whole thing over here is the actual color correction, right? So I've started with the cell node over here, slightly blurred, right? Just to make these cracks look more visible, right? Some levels to increase, slightly warped to make it slightly more distorted, right? Little bit of sharp to make it look sharper, obviously, right? Little bit of blur again, just to make it look more natural. And again with some levels, right? I've made it look a little bit more sharp. And over here, I used directional warp just to create slightly different looking node, right? With some brilliant noise. And eventually everything was connected through the blend node. And again, a little bit of warp and brilliant noise just to make texture look a bit more natural. Now, from this point, uh, I used grunge map to the blend node just to create some variations to the cracks, right? You can see that over here, I have black and white texture with some grayscale, which means we have some cracks over here without so solid color. If I take a closer look, you will see that we have some variations over here as well, right? And now from here, from this point, I'll be using the same cracks, same two textures, right? Because this one is just inverted, the same texture, but inverted in black and white, right? Through the different channels. Over here with the diffuse channel, I have just a couple of colors, right? One is darker black color, one is slightly lighter, and everything was connected again to the blend node by using the same main pattern from here, and was inverted as well, right? So over here I have the actual crack color, and it's very interesting that if you take a look right now on the right side, you don't see the actual color values, right? It's because I already exposed some parameters from here, so these parameters are not visible. Just literally a button over here, that's it. So just to see how it works, I mean with the color changing, I just take a simple color again, double click it, and yeah, that's the way you'll change the actual colors, right? So that's the way it works. And after all, I just expose this parameter just to use it in 3ds Max after all. Now, over here, I I took the color and just blended with the actual cracks, right, from here. And now we have gold looking cracks. And after that, cracks was merged with the wall texture from here, right? So basically everything goes together. And from this point, again, you can see that I'll be using the same node, black and white node, inverted node, just to create the actual transition. All right, so this is the actual diffuse channel, which is connected to our output over here, right? Next thing what do we have here? We have a roughness. Well, for the roughness, I decided to use slightly different nodes, right? Just to make those reflections slightly different through the whole wall, right? So again, just a couple of random noises. Everything was blended together, and the actual result was merged with the dirt texture as well, right? Just to create these small bubbles, which are looking like small bubbles on the wall, right? And then from here, our texture goes to the normal map. We'll get back here a bit later. And afterwards, it's going back to the roughness. And over here, just a little bit of color correction and a little bit of blur, just to make the wall look slightly more natural, right? And from here, everything goes connected with the blend node. And over here, I'm blending the actual cracks, right, with our wall roughness, just to make our cracks a bit more shiny, and everything eventually goes connected with the roughness texture. Now, this place is very interesting because we are working with the PBR materials, right? In this case, if you're using Vray as a render engine, you need to remember to switch your glossiness to roughness, right? I'll show you what I mean later on. And the same thing goes with the SketchUp. If you're working with the SketchUp, I'll show the same things later on, that you need to switch from glossiness to roughness. Don't forget about it, because that's kind of important, because in other way it won't work the proper way, right? Now, next with the actual reflections over here. For the reflections, we're using metallic texture, right? It's just simple color, right? Simple gray color blended together with the cracks, which should be more reflective, right? And now everything is connected to the metallic node. And from here, we start working with the normal map, right? I took the main pattern from here, inverted, right? Slightly play around with the levels just to make it a bit more brighter. And afterwards, it was blended with the actual roughness over here, just to create texture, which will represent the actual roughness of the wall, right? The actual bump of the wall. And it's very interesting that eventually you can use this texture just like in interiors, and the same way it can go to the exteriors as well. I'll show you that things a little bit later. Now from here, just a little bit of color correction, right? And we eventually have the texture, which is connected to the normal map, to the normal node, just to create the actual bump for our wall, right? And from here, if I go back with the cracks, it's this node was taken to create a separate normal node just for cracks, just like so. Right? You see all those small details? They appear over here in the cracks. And eventually everything was merged to the blend node, right? And over here, I have one more exposed parameter, right? That you will see a bit later. And everything was connected to the normal map. And now it means that we have our wall with some imperfections, right? So that's the actual overview of the texture, how it was created. Now a couple of more things about those exposed parameters. If I double click over here on the empty space, right, you will see that I have the list of the parameters that I've already exposed from my texture, right? I have some wall colors over here. That means I can change actual wall color. Over here, I can change the color of cracks, right? Same thing, right? And so on. It's all about colors, right? Now the cracks over here, I can turn them on and off, right? And eventually, if I turn off my cracks, basically all parameters over here should be shifted to 0, right? In that case, I can have just a simple wall without cracks. Now, about these parameters, one more thing. I want to show an example with the actual cracks over here, right? So we already have a scale as exposed parameter, right? What I can do, I want to take a disorder as a different parameter, right? So basically, how to create that exposed parameter. I'll press a button over here, and the first uh, button from top, expose parameter, right? I just press this one, and now all we need to do is just, first of all, I need to give a name, right? Let's go with the crack disorder name, and over here I have a group, and I have a couple of groups already, right? I have groups related to wall reflection, and I have groups related to the cracks. So because it's cracks, I want to connect it to the cracks like so, and over here we have a couple of more parameters, right? So we can set our minimum values and maximum values and default values as well, right? Let's say our default value will be 0.2, like so. And our minimum value could be, let's say, 0.1, like so, right? And the maximum value will be, let's say, 0.5, like so, right? Now, if I press OK button, the parameter will be exposed. Now it's very interesting that if I again double click my empty space, workspace over here, you'll see that we have our crack disorder parameter exposed. And what I can do, and I can actually change the actual order over here, just drag my parameter somewhere here, let's say, right? I can change it with the crack disorder, place it over here, just after the cracks on off, right? And now the next step over here will be literally save the file. I'll go with a file save. All right, let's save it as. And I think we can go here with the different name. Let's go with 0.3. All right, and now what I need to do, I need to publish this file as Sbsr file. All right, so I'll go with the publishing over here. Let's choose different name. Let it be 003, like so. Right, and now the actual file was exported and now it can be used in different software. Let's say 3ds Max. We'll get back there. Now it's very interesting that if you need to, for example, if you use Sketchup for your work and with the Vray and you want to use the same textures, it's very interesting that we take a closer look over here with the plugins. You notice that we don't have a Sketchup here in the list. So means that we don't have a script that connects Substance Designer with the Sketchup straight away. So in that case, what you will need to do, you will need to, first of all, export your output textures, right, to the actual folder with your project, right? Let's try to do that. Let's go with maps over here, in the new folder, maps 1. Right, select folder and export all those textures, just like so. I'll use JPEG format, it's good enough, right? And then you see it's already done. And now when you'll be working with the SketchUp, you'll see that you have the same textures, right, that can be used to create the same material in the SketchUp. I'll show that thing later on as well. Now, right now I want to switch to the 3ds Max close this window, right? And now when you don't download your plugin from Substance Designer webpage and install it, right? And in your software, you will see something like this. Just a second, looks like something happens. Is it here? No, it's not. So, oh, here it is. So, going back with the 3ds Max, and now when you download the plugin from Substance Designer and install it, right, you will get this menu over here with the Substance menu in your software, right? In my case, it's 3D Studio Max. Now, how it works? First of all, you need to create Maps, General, and Substance 2 node, right? This is the new one because we have a couple of those. We have the older version of Substance node, and Substance 2 is the newer version. So we'll be using the new one. And when you create this node, you just double click it, and that's what you'll see within parameters over here, right? So now how it works. You already saw that I exported the actual Sbsr file, right? So I have it here. It's the third one, right? So now all you need to do is just need to load this file to my Max over here. So double click Substance node, press load, and literally all I need to do is just go to the folder, choose the actual file, and press open. Now it will take a couple of seconds to load. And it's there. Now, what you will see here, first of all, right, this node is not ready to use yet, right? So we need to connect it with the Vray material. Now, how it works, you already saw this connection over here. Basically, it's the same. Now, how to do that? I'll literally click my Substance node, then I go with the Substance menu on top and choose my desired render engine. In my case, it's Vray. So I press on Substance to Vray, and here it is. Right, the whole connection is already built, and there is one more thing that over here I have one node which is Roughness disconnected from this Vray material. It's this one. Right, so what we need to do, we need to connect it manually, just like so. And it's a very interesting thing that by default with Vray material we're using a glossiness value over here instead of roughness, right? So what we need to do, we need to switch this glossiness to the roughness value, just like so. In this case, material will start, PBR material will start working the way it should, right? So next thing, when we already have this material created, basically it's already ready to use. All we need to do is just literally select our wall and assign material to selection, just like so. Right, so it's already assigned, and if I hit the render button, I will get the same result just like you saw on the image, right? But I've been talking about exposed parameters, so let's take a look how it works right now. Over here with the Substance node, right? If I double click it, you will see the same, exactly the same parameters, right, that was attached with my wall, right? So if I collapse everything just like so, we'll see first of all the actual black wall and gold, right? So it means we have some colors over here. So I can start changing color, right, straight away. Basically, we can choose any kind of color over here. let's go with something maybe bluish, right? And you will see that the actual walls start changing straight away, right? Instead of crack color, which is yellow, I can choose something, let's say green, right? And it's changing straight away, right? If I double click my original material over here, you'll see everything will be with the changes straight away, right? What else do we have over here? We have some crack scale, right? If I increase this value, we'll have smaller cracks, a lot of those, right? We have thickness over here. So if I increase this value, we have thicker cracks, right? You can see already. By the way, it takes a couple of seconds to refresh new parameters, right? So be patient over here, right? And we'll bump over here, right? Again, I can increase this one and make my wall look slightly more bumpy, right? And again, I can change the seed over here and change the actual pattern as well, right? Just like so. It takes a couple of seconds, right? So don't worry about it. Just like so. What else over here? We have literally cracks. All parameters which are related to the cracks. So I can turn on and off those cracks just like so. Right? I can have crack normal on off, just literally remove all those bump values from the wall and so on. And again, I want to repeat myself, you will be able to download this material after the webinar and use it as you like, right? So you can play around with these values and just take a look how it works yourself. Right now, we just randomly play with these values, right? And we have reflections over here that can be controlled as well. So I can increase this values, let's say randomly, and that's pretty much it. It's already a new wall with a new pattern, new color, right? And basically, if I want, I can just start rendering. Let's go with a small region over here, and if I press render, you'll see how it works. Now, while it's rendering, I will remind you that you can ask questions, and by the end of the webinar, I will answer all those questions. And once again, I want to remind you that just recently, literally last week, the Adobe started changing names for the software. I'll show it again. Right, so we have all Adobe products, all Substance products start getting new names. So we'll be covering this news as well. Just follow us on social media, and you'll catch all those news right away. And now, if I'm going back with the 3ds Max, you will see that we already have a new looking wall. Right, and all changes can be made straight away from your Max. Now, if I stop this render, and let's say I will go back with my material over here, right? I can double click my substance node, and if I press reset button, it will go back with all default values as it was, right? Now, a couple of more interesting things. If you decided to do some more changes with the actual material in your Substance Designer, so over here, let's say you've done some changes. It doesn't matter what kind of changes, just literally any kind of changes. What you need to do, you need to publish your Sbsr file once again, right? We have some hotkeys for that, just to do it quickly. And after that, all you need to do, you just need to press the reload button, and the same file with the same name will be reloaded with new values, and you'll get literally new looking material, right, with all those changes. So we keep that thing in mind. Now, one more thing, what if you're working with Sketchup, right? So we don't have a straight connection between Substance Designer and Sketchup, but we have a straight connection over here through the plugin. between Substance Designer and 3ds Max. So what if you are working with the Sketchup and you got those files exported, right? This textures over here, was it with the maps, right? Same textures exported from Substance Designer. Once again, I want to remind you how to do that. You go with this button over here. Oh, excuse me. You go with this button over here and just press export outputs, right? Or re-export outputs if you've done some changes, right? So you'll get this kind of textures. Now, how to use these textures in SketchUp. So we'll go with the SketchUp over here, go with the Vray asset editor, and now first of all I need to create new material. So go with the new generic material, need to name it. Let's say deco wall 02, something like that, right? Because we already have one. And now over here we have the same parameters just like in 3ds Max or the software which using Vray, right? Basically everything is the same. So over here I have my textures, and just by the name of the textures you see we have base color over here, and base color goes straight away to the diffuse channel. So basically I just can drag and drop this texture and it appears over here straight away. You can take a look. Let's say I represent it as a wall, just like so. Now what do we have else over here? We have some metallics, so we can use this one for the reflection channel. So we can go like so, start reflecting. You see it became reflective. For the glossiness, instead of glossiness, we're supposed to use roughness. So what we need to do, we need to switch our use glossiness, right, to the use roughness, like so. And now I will take a roughness texture and just basically add it to the roughness channel, just like so, right, and start working straight away. Now we have still a couple of texture left, right? So we have a normal map and we have height. So what's with normal map? First of all, instead of using bump, we need to use a normal map over here, right? So we need to switch from bump to normal, and now just add a normal map. And it's very interesting that we can use the height texture for bump amount over here, and we can use the same height texture as a displacement, right? So basically if I drag it over here, so we have it as a bump amount, right? So you see on a preview it's already start working. Or I can select, let's say, a wall over here, right? Select a wall, and for the selected surface, I can use, by the way, I need to create a group for that. Let's go with the group. I can use a Vray displacement, right? Let's just like so. And now what I need to do over here with the geometry, I just select displacement and I can use the height texture over here for the displacement, just like so, right? Keep continuity amount, I believe we can use quite low one, something like that, right? And now going back with the texture, just literally apply this texture to the wall, and it would be nice if we change the actual size of the texture, like let's go with 1.5 meters, right? So over here, let's select this wall and add this texture, right? And now if I start rendering this wall over here, you will see that we get the same wall. So we're getting closer to the end of our webinar. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, that's the time to do that. And once again, I want to remind you that after the webinar, you will be able to download the same substance material and use it for your own needs. Well, looks like no questions so far. Well, in this case, I think that's it for now, for today. I'll see you in the next video, and bye-bye.